Please don't make it necessary for us to force you. We want you to want to share our life.
I have a life to go back to.
What kind of life? Is it a better one than the life we offer you?
It's a life I've learned to accept.
Accept? Or resign yourself to?
How hard it is to admit the truth. Would you still have me come along with you?
It's a long journey to my planet. It would be better to make it with a friend.
The autopsy begins.
We're back. Mild Sauce Live. It's been a minute. The Breit Rock Discovery Show live on Saturdays. And we're catching back up. It's been a couple weeks. We've been on hiatus, but now we're back on
Steve's
a
been traveling a little bit.
Saturday.
Yeah, man. You brought the weather back with you from the West Coast.
Yep.
But yeah, it's been a minute. We got Steve back in the studio with some new rock music from around the way. He's been to a few shows. He hit the ground running once he got back in the city.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This has been crazy. Since we have not been seeing each other the last few Saturdays, I've been a busy beaver. I've been out and about in the city, seeing a bunch of shows, and just as a preview, I think, of upcoming episodes, because I've been so busy, I've got episodes backed up on what I want to bring out to you guys. So this one was a little bit of an audible. Last day of the month, I figured, you know what, we could squeak it in. So this week will be the Pride episode. And then in upcoming weeks, I'll be talking about some of the badass shows I've been seeing out and about in the city.
Dope. Starting things off, we always like to do our little rituals.
Oh, yeah. Before we get into that,
Oh,
so we
excuse
opened
me.
up.
Excuse me.
Sorry, we opened up on Batter Brains, and that was a couple of tracks from them. That was Fanfare of the Young Tigers and Year Zero off of the complete and unfinished works of the Young Tigers. We've talked about that band a little bit before, and kind of relating back to the theme of the episode. You know, we are. This is one of the Sarah Kirsch bands, so very influential West Coast San Fran, hardcore, just staple. But
Oh, right, yeah, I remember we had a few long talks about
yeah,
bands.
and this is again tying back to previous episodes. This is one of the bands that relates to Crisco Thunder, which we talked about recently. So, bringing it all back around as we're wont to do.
With this beautiful presentation that we have as well.
Yes, now we can get into our typical rituals.
All
So,
right.
especially on this fucking blazing hot Saturday afternoon in Chicago, we are drinking some delicious beer, local, of course, from Lake Effect Brewing Company, and we are drinking Bitchin' Blonde. This is from Lake Effect Brewery, like I said, just on Montrose Avenue in beautiful Portage Park. This is a microbrew. They are quickly growing, though. Been seeing them out and about on the tappers in the city. I went to the brewery to pick up the six-pack, and they assured us that a brew pub is in the works.
Ah, you got the inside.
Got the inside line. But no, this is a very good beer. I dig it. I've never had it before. Like I said, I've seen the tappers around the city in bars, and this is my first time actually trying one of their brews. This is a good summer beer. It's nice. It's creamy. It's not too heavy. It's not too hoppy. I think it's a good session beer, day drinker on a hot afternoon. So perfect
Awesome.
for the day.
Perfect for today. And also, for those of you who might not have seen our posts and stuff, Steve will also be helping unveil a new beer tomorrow.
Yep. Always drinking.
Getting Mr. Beer Connoisseur Steve Breit and into the public eye more this time. Tomorrow we have him sitting across from Julius Torres for a quick Q&A on the new Pabst release. They're putting on APA.
Yep, looking forward to that. Looking forward to that chat.
Yeah, we're going to be over at Emporium tomorrow night. You guys can catch us there. And then we're going to have our guy Just Jay and a bunch of others DJing all night to celebrate the release.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That'll be a good show. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun night. Mm-hmm. Check our Instagrams and stuff. We'll have everything up there for you guys to keep up to date on that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, something to keep an eye out tomorrow.
Yep, absolutely.
Not to take away from the Bitchin' Blonde.
No, but for real, this is a great beer, and we are going to be talking about another great beer tomorrow. So, all good in the hood. Getting on to the next of our traditions, we've got the shirt of the week, and this shirt flows right into our next track and right into our theme. So, like I said, this is the Pride episode, and the shirt I'm wearing is Local Punk Legends Limp Wrist. Fronted by Martin Saranda, all around just awesome dude. I love the fact that he formerly was originally in Chicago with Los Crudos, then moved out to the West Coast for several years, and now he's back, and the city is better for it. So I'm really happy that he's around. Saw them last year when the record Facades came out for Limp Wrist, and actually I saw him, ran into him. There we go. Ran into Martine last Saturday at a fantastic show at Chi-Town Football. There's a band called Haram, and very well-attended local punk showcase. It was really cool. We'll be getting into that in future episodes, but good stuff all around.
So Limp Wrist, this is like one of your like consistent bands. That's been
Yeah,
coming
this is a
up
band
for
we've
us.
talked about several times.
This would be a Steve Breit favorite.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
sure. Yeah.
Definitely a Steve Breit favorite.
What is it about them again that like really sticks? I mean, obviously, just from this like photo that you put together, you kind of get an idea. Did you take this as well?
I did not. I got this off of their Bandcamp. I do have photos not dissimilar to this, but unfortunately, when I had opportunity to see Limp Wrist last year at Archer Ballroom, at the time I had my broken ankle. And I was in a cast, and I was the entire time I was at that show, I was actually like behind the stage, so all my pictures are
Of guys' butts.
Yeah, kind of. So not the most indicative photos, I guess.
Or maybe.
But no, all around great. Like I said, I've seen Martine in Limp Wrist. I've seen Los Crudos several times. This is a Chicago treasure. I not being weird or nothing, but
there's like no other way to say it. Yeah.
There's nothing more to say. I think traditionally you think about hardcore and punk and aggressive music, and Chicago's not necessarily historically been known to be that rich in a history. I think music kind of comes from the coasts and then works into the interior, so Chicago is good in that it gets a little bit of the best of both worlds. It gets East Coast, it gets West Coast, and combines and merges it. But I think one of the true standout Chicago punk bands was Martine's band Los Crudos, and then again with Limp Wrist. So I think they are a bedrock of a really good hardcore tradition that's been alive and well in the city for many years, and we are fortunate enough to live in the city and get a chance to view it. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's amazing. Sorry, I was just making sure you're looking. I don't know if you guys noticed this. We got the layover titles happening now. We're taking things up a notch. Steve's got the background. Sometimes I get caught up just watching it myself a little bit. So, no, let's get to the music though. What do you got coming up for us?
All right, so like I said, we're going to be dipping into some Limp Wrist. This is off of Facades, and this is a track called Thick Skin.
Thick Skin?
Yep,
All right,
Thick Skin from Limp Wrist.
let's dive into it.
Let's get in.
Rolling put up with this shit. I have been beaten. I have had my lungs broken. I have been thrown in jail. I have lost my job. I have lost my apartment for gay liberation. I do not believe in revolution, but you all do. I believe in the gay power.
All right, and we're back. Mild Sauce Live Saturdays. Sorry for a little bit of the technical difficulties during that last set, but what I wanted to talk about and what we just listened to right now is Udisic with Nice Try off of their 7-inch. And before, you know, it wasn't a LBGT band necessarily, but I wanted to kind of go into a little bit of context, a little bit of personal history, I suppose. And back in the day, I wasn't really aware of, I don't know, pride and gay rights and all that. But like one of the first times that I was, introduced to just the whole concept was with 7 Seconds and Regress No Way. And that was the track that I had wanted to play. But like I said, not necessarily a queercore band or LBGT, but
Just somebody who's like supportive of that genre.
yeah, and this was like West Coast hardcore punk in the early 80s. And nobody was really speaking up about, like, you know what I mean, equality and just human dignity the way that a band like 7 Seconds was. And that, from my childhood, from my youth, that always like struck me and stood out and resonated, you know what I mean? It was like, holy shit.
It opened that door.
Exactly. It opened that door, and, that remains to this day. I mean, that's a 35-year-old song, and it remains one of my favorites, and it's just classic fucking punk, and just that, against the grain mentality, which I think is so conducive to being a welcoming kind of subgenre in the music community for, for just everybody, you know what I mean? Whatever. I think the punk community is just kind of structured to be accepting of, you know what I mean? It welcomes all comers. Right. And that's one of the things that I've loved about the scene and the local scene over the course of, my whole life.
Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, it's cool to hear that perspective too. It's not just like it's not like a surface level, not to say anything surface
right.
Surface, but to have to like have that little added element of, it's not just a band that is like identifies one way or the other. It's somebody that just kind of was like a good group of dudes when there wasn't always somebody doing that.
Exactly. It definitely wasn't like mainstream consciousness. It wasn't like, you know what I mean?
Now
like,
everyone's woke, yeah.
Yeah, 2018, everybody's woke, and especially in Trump's America, everybody's fucking more observant and cognizant of what the fuck's going on. But you know what I mean? You think about the 80s in Reagan's America, nobody was talking about that shit.
Yeah, well, people were, but it wasn't the main conversation.
Not like it is now.
Right. And the people who were are now being remembered for that. So it's like, it's a cool little concept there.
Yeah. And I had an opportunity, the most recent time I saw them, and unfortunately, we're at a loss for it. 7 Seconds recently disbanded, but I think the last time they played Chicago was a Riot Fest at like 2014, 2015 maybe. I specifically remember it. It was like a 2 o'clock in the afternoon set on a day like today. So you're just sweating your ass off. And it's like only the true fans are at that one.
Yeah. Man, it is. I've been to a few festivals like that. Like Pitchfork, I won every year, is like just terrible. And it's like,
Pitchfork is consistently just fucking swampy and brutal.
Yeah, and then you got Lala's always just like literally a swamp.
Yeah. Riot Fest, like
second day of Lollapalooza every year.
Yeah, they usually get that monsoon that rolls through, and then
like
everybody
second
has to take
day every
cover.
time. Yeah, and then it's 2 days of just like muddy kids walking around. Yeah. My bad, we're going off on a little time.
Oh, no. So with Riot Fest, it's the same thing. It's like a little bit later in the season, so you're either getting like those fall storms coming through all weekend long, or you're getting those like late season heat waves where you're getting like stung by like sweat bees in October. So it's never an ideal time. I think there's maybe like 2 weeks in May that are great for putting on a festival in Chicago.
Right. Yeah, it's a crapshoot all the way around.
Yeah, but digging back into some of the music, this is a little bit of a gear shift, and this is going to be one of those episodes where we're kind of like tracking all over the musical spectrum. So the next band we're going to hear is the great Le Tigre. This is Hot Topic, their classic track, kind of calling out their influences. Just a very cool, like positive, supportive track. This is off their self-titled album. They've obviously gone on to bigger, better things. I think they did Lala a couple years ago. Great band, but definitely not as aggressive as what we've been playing to date on today's episode. Right. And like I said, it's going to be shifting around, so we're going to go from light to heavy. So let's jump into some Le Tigre, and then after that, we're going to be playing some Hers, which again we've showcased them on previous episodes also.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's jump into it. Here it is, Le Tigre. Mild sauce. Blah blah blah.
Hot living with shame and judgment, what that steals from you. It's called delicate, petite, and other things I'll never be. Possession has yet to take hold of me. We all want to burn on a fire, so tell me what kind of witch are you? The skin on your neck looks a little thin. Don't go sticking it out for me. Like a beggar with a coat to fill. I am a toy on your nails. Let's talk about Tom Petty for a second, okay? My life has always had a connection to Tom Petty's music. When I was like 7, 8 years old, Comeback Disc Players first came out. My first CD given to me by my father was a copy of Full Moon Fever. And I played the shit out of that record. I played it all the time. Thank you for reading my book. I didn't want to assume that everyone did, so I figured I would not only just address you, I would address everyone. Some of this material may be redundant, it's true. I've only lived one life. It's been a very full life. But as I was saying, so yeah, first CD, Full Moon Fever. When I graduated from an acoustic guitar to electric guitar, my dad got me a traveling Worldberries model Gretsch electric guitar, and I started all my first shitty grunge cover bands on that guitar. Played a ton of bad Pearl Jam and Nirvana songs on it. And then when I was 18 years old, I moved to Gainesville, Florida, where Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers are from. And as soon as this band started making any money, I bought a Rickenbacker guitar, because that was what Tom Petty played.
Alrighty, so this is Dan.
All right, we're back. Mild Sauce live Saturdays, Steamy Saturdays in Chicago. We were listening to a few
Steamy Steve Saturdays in Chicago.
Yep. as our semi-regular segment, Steve and Jake talk about Chicago weather.
Right? Yeah, we'll have our own weather show eventually. It'll
Right,
just be
exactly.
the most weird, drunken rock weather report you've ever seen.
It's a concept. It's untapped.
It's hot. I'm sweaty.
Mild sauce. It's kind of hot. Mild sauce. What?
Mild sauce. It's
weather.
very hot today.
Yeah, no. So dipping back, we were listening to La Tigra off their self-titled Hot Topic. I love that track. It's a nice little palate cleanser, let's say, on a hardcore Saturday afternoon. And then after that, right into the heaviness with Hers, a band out of Philly that I absolutely love. Track called The Promise.
Was that one of those bands we caught on that Super Bowl episode with Paul that we did?
We had not, but we did do it on. We did play Hers on a previous episode.
Well, we played everybody by
by
this point,
recently,
yeah.
But they are definitely a band that I'm a big fan of. Definitely keep an eye out for them. They put out really aggressive, really fucking deliciously good hardcore.
Delicious.
Yep. And then the last track we were just listening to, that's Against Me, Delicate Petite and Other Things I'll Never Be. And that is off of a bootleg from 2017 where they played in New York at Brooklyn Steel. So very cool stuff. And keeping it DIY, keeping it underground, checking out stuff that is not being played anywhere else. So that was a really cool track. One of my more favorite tunes from Against Me. I love them. They are playing Riot Fest. They're doing an after show this year, so I'm looking forward to that.
Well, they're like one of those quintessential bands from here as well, right? I mean,
great Chicago band.
They really had they're like, I would almost, you're going to hate me for this, but like I would compare them to like the kind of rise that Metallica had in the 90s, where it's like they just have that cult following. Mm-hmm. There's like, Metallica fans when I was growing up, they were older than me. Like I was a little bit like young for that. But I remember like people who are Metallica fans are like Smashing Pumpkins fans from Chicago is probably a better example, right?
There is no like halfway mediocre Against Me fan.
Exactly.
You're either, like ultra passionate or you have
2
no
feet
idea
in.
who they are.
Yeah. No, it's cool though. Like I think that's what we talk about that a lot with like this show is that like that's what rock bands really can do. They can get that real like cult following,
Mm-hmm.
and you are a great example of that. Like someone who goes and gets the shirts everywhere they go, and
yeah,
it's cool. But every time I've been to an Against Me show, it's very passionate, and it's
absolutely. Last time I saw Against Me again, it was at Riot Fest a few years ago, and I couldn't get anywhere near the stage.
Well, I was gonna say I feel like they're just like a Riot Fest mainstay. I feel like has there been a Riot Fest they haven't played? That's kind of like a home show for them.
They come in and out. They give the fans a chance to get hungry again.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I've been doing the shows every 2 weeks. Got to keep the fans hungry.
Yep. So like I said, just great Chicago punk band. And I think multifaceted, you know what I mean? You can dig their acoustic stuff, you could dig their more aggressive stuff. It's all good in my world. So big fan. And moving on, I mean we've got more stuff. And again, this is a band that I've trumpeted in past episodes. I don't know if we've
I feel like we've talked about these guys before.
We have Gloss. Yeah. They were a candle that burned bright and then faded away. So they were I believe they broke up in 2016. 2017. Really love them. Super aggressive, super attitudinal. Fuck you. You know, just out and proud, and a band that I was really excited to have a long-term, let's say, like fan relationship. I was just ready for like a great career from this band, and a bidding war literally like broke out between a couple of the underground labels, and it kind of spooked them, and they broke up. And
that's interesting how that happens, right? Like, it's like you finally get to that point that you would expect you want to get to. I would, you know, harken back to like a band from here, Kids These Days. You know, that was a band that we're gonna have our pop. Yep, it's the Steve Breit Rock Discovery Show.
We're drinking.
Shout
It's
out
hot.
Pabst Blue Ribbon. But no, Kids These Days was like one of those bands that even today, like so many people are just like so excited about, and they were so talented at the time, and they had and it was almost felt like it was too much, like it was too much talent, it was too much like good thing in one spot, like it couldn't all be bubbled and like wrapped into one package. Now it exists in like, you know, 10 amazing different projects and stuff like that. But
yeah,
I totally empathize with you on that. It's tough.
Yeah, and you know, Gloss was one of those bands that I think they never actually played like a real venue in Chicago. I think they played 1 or 2 basement shows, and
They just caught the buzz like that, huh?
and that was it. They were not dissimilar to like how Downtown Boys really blew up, and you know what I mean. They got that underground street cred with production by members of Fugazi, and you know, just on just great underground label. And I think the hype, you know what I mean, the hype of the potential of this band, you know, started this bidding war on some labels, and this is not the direction that they wanted to go, and you know, they thought, you know.
That's weird because it's like, you know, they totally could have just said no, right? And like kept doing what they were doing anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you know how it is. I mean, like in this musical world, you know what I mean. Everybody has their own expectations of their career, and what they want to accomplish, and you know, I think with this industry,
when it stops being fun, starts
exactly
being,
with this industry, it can easily, you know, barrel roll out of control, and then you know, are you doing it for yourself or are you doing it for others? And I think that was the point that they decided we want to do it for ourselves. We don't want to do it for anybody else. And much respect and love for that, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
we should jump into some real quick.
Yeah, so let's jump in. This is Gloss. Like I said, we've played them several times. I'm a big advocate of that band and everything that the members are working on. So definitely keep an eye out for them. And this is We're From the Future off of their demo. They only had a couple releases, so.
All right, let's jump into it.
They told us we were girls, and we talk, just look and cry. They told us we were girls, so we claimed our female lives. Now they tell us we are girls, our femininity doesn't fit. We're fucking future girls, living outside society's shit. We're from the future, we're from the past. We're the one rolling on a mystery task. We're in an end, we're before their account. The segregated of the royal blood. The future, faggots and fans. The future, not just any outcast. Girls, living outside society's shit.
right, and we're back. Mild Sauce Live, Saturdays. We've been bouncing around, listening to a lot of great music on this Saturday afternoon. So we started off with Gloss. We're from the future. That was the first track off their demo LP. That song, like, initially, the first song at the time I heard that, it was just like, you know, I'm sold from the get-go. Then we heard Team Dresch, Growing Up in Springfield, a little Illinois callback off of their album Personal Best. And then we heard Gene Jam, I'll Tell You What, off of the Punk is Gay and So Can You comp. And that was a
classic
nice
compilation.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, that was the Chicago representation on that one. So very good stuff. Like I said, stylistically, we're bouncing around all over, and I think we're getting close to the end.
Creeping in.
Yeah. So I think it's been a great episode. You know, this was just a lot of stuff that, you know, really fucking vibes with me, and just coincidentally happens to be LBGT. So we're hearing a weird noise in the background of the studio here.
It's like an odd metronome has just realized.
Kind of a mystery. But no, as we wrap
That was weird.
As always, I want to give my shout-outs. So shout-out to the three-piece. Shout-out to the backcourt. Shout-out to Jake.
Hey.
Shout-out to everybody.
Shout out to
involved
you,
with Mild
man.
Sauce. Shout-out to Jay on Sundays, which I ran into last Saturday at that fucking crazy Haram show.
Yeah, man. The Mild Sauce family is getting
Mild
thick
Sauce
right now.
family is like showing out in weird places.
As it should be. As it should be.
Much love. Yeah, and, you know, we will be back. And like I said, I have been a busy beaver over the last few weeks that I have not been recording. Just a preview of upcoming shows. You know, we're going to be talking about the Slayer the finale anniversary tour. That was in the end of May. I went and attended that. That was an excellent night out. We'll be talking about the Haram show at Chi-Town Football. That was a great show. A lot of local bands, a lot of local representation. And then just last Thursday, a day and a half ago, I had the opportunity to go see Code Orange at Bottom Lounge. That was a fantastic show. So these are all subjects that we will be getting into in the upcoming weeks. And I think we're going to be wrapping it up. So have a fucking great week. Have a great summer.
Also, wait.
What?
Before we cut off.
Yes.
Get out, get off the ass tomorrow. It's going to be hot, but we're doing something really dope with our friends over at PBR. Shout out my man Julius Torres, who's the man for the PBR in town. He's the PBR guy, official for Chicago, and he is doing a great release tomorrow for the first APA beer that PBR has ever done. We're big purveyors of PBR here at Mild Sauce. And we're going to have Steve, our beer connoisseur. We're breaking it down a little bit. He's going to be asking some questions with Julius. And then afterwards, like we said earlier, man, we got my guy Just Jay with his first big performance. This is going to be his first public DJ performance. So we're very excited for my man. He's been buying his skills as part of the Mild Sauce DJ team ours over here. And, yeah, come on out. It's going to be a really fun time. We've had a few good events in the past already with PBR and Harold's Chicken a few weeks ago. And this is just building on that whole thing. Yeah, we got a lot of good things happening, but tomorrow's going to be a lot of fun. Come on out. You'll get a little taste of all the stuff Mild Sauce has to offer.
Mm-hmm. Very excited about tomorrow. It's going to be a fun night out. And as always, you
That's
can
at Emporium at 6, I believe.
Yes, Emporium. Which one now?
It's the West Loop.
The West Loop Emporium. So not to be...
It's too many now, yeah.
I know. They're kind of popping up all over the city. So, yeah, the West Loop Emporium. Be sure to check us out Sunday evening, 6 to 11, isn't it?
Something like that.
Yeah. We'll be
You'll
there
figure
for
it
a
out.
while.
Just show up at Emporium. We'll be there.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. Drinking PBRs, fucking chilling with locals. It'll be fun.
That's it.
As always, you can catch me on my socials. Look for me on Instagram and Twitter at Collarbone666. One of these days, I'll get my ass off the couch and do a Mild Sauce Steve Breit Rock Discovery Instagram and Twitter. But until then, you can find me at Collarbone666.
All right.
So we're going to be going out. This is a step back into the 70s, in the Wayback Machine, going back in time. So we're going to be checking out old legendary industrial British purveyors Throbbing Grizzle off of their classic album 20 Jazz Funk Hits. And we're going to be listening to and going out on the classic Hot on the Heels of Love.
All right, let's get it. It's been Mild Sauce Radio and the latest episode of Steve Breit Rock Discovery Show.
Cheers. Hit it.